There is one thing that has been really confusing to me this window. Where's all the Gnonto and Somerville talk? We've got two players that are renowned as hugely talented footballers and are likely to see moves to top-tier sides, but it's been very quiet for a while now. Well, it begins. As a report came out this morning, I feel like the Gnonto thing is about to spice up a little bit, and there are talks of a Gnonto bidding war about to kick off. So we know that transfers are always incredibly complex and that interest can last for a matter of years. And that brings us to the first club that is in this conversation, and that is Everton. Everton, who last year were sort of taking a little bit of a look at Willy Gnonto and maybe wanting to make a move, but didn't quite hit our valuation. It ended up not happening. And I can see why. Because having a look at their squad, they are very weak on wide options. One of their best players, being Arno Danjuma, is not there anymore. And with Danjuma gone, it leaves Dwight McNeil, Jack Harrison, and an aging, frail, ancient scum bastard Ashley Young. Now, from their point of view, bolstering these spots is an absolute must because I've had a look at their stats from last season and they are not good. Everton scored the fewest goals in the Premier League last season. I've got the numbers in front of me. Burnley scored 41, Everton managed to score 40. Somehow, that was enough goals to keep them up. They scored fewer goals, by the way. No, hold on. Didn't see. Sheffield United only scored 25. Never mind. But they scored the second fewest number of goals all season, and that's a problem for them. And it's a problem they want to solve. And we know that Everton have always been very willing to throw money at a problem. So this is a team that I do not mind being in this conversation because it's good for us at the end of the day. And then we need to talk about the second club in the discussion, which is Newcastle. When it talks to throwing money at a problem, shall we introduce the Saudi prince? Eddie Howe reportedly wants a little bit more firepower in his squad, which is very weird considering his team scored last season 85 goals, more than Aston Villa, who came fourth and the fourth highest number of goals in the division. However, someone that scores a few of those goals, Miggy Almiron, is likely heading to Saudi Arabia, which means that they are potentially in trouble when it comes to that attacking variety. And when it comes to a Saudi-owned club selling a player to Saudi Arabia, is there a conversation? No, that's a topic for another time. We'll move on to that at another point. Add on to that, there's the potential for a Callum Wilson departure because he is getting a little bit on in terms of age and he's not quite got the output that he used to. It's easy to see why he might be one of the people to leave Eddie Howe's side, and he would require a replacement. And Gnonto can play all the way across that front line, and that's where Gnonto comes in. He can play in the wide areas, he can play at 9, he's done that a few times before, and ultimately I can maybe see him doing it for a Newcastle. He's not tall, not in the slightest, but he can be disruptive, and that's what you need from a number 9 a lot of the time. And with all this considered, it would be very easy for Leeds United to kick off one of the finest words in the football transfer language, especially when you are a club that is looking to sell, a bidding war. With both sides being renowned for splashing the cash and throwing it around and potentially having PSR issues that they've managed to get out of, and thankfully this is after the 1st of July, so it feels like they'll try and solve the problem that signing Gnonto will cause next summer, rather than by not signing Gnonto. Pushing these two against each other could absolutely spike his price through the roof. We thought bids last season were looking quite tasty, 20-odd million quid from Everton, for example, and we held firm on our valuation. Putting the two against each other could mean that we're saying, well, you see, we had a sell-on clause from Newcastle, so you're going to need to add more to your number, Everton, and that can push it up and up and up and up and up, and the sky is the limit for a talented young player such as Willy Gnonto. It's also ideal for the player himself, because that means that he's in a position where he can sort of discuss contracts and find the right move for him going forwards. He can find where he'll get the more money, where he'll get the more playing time. It's perfect having two clubs that have a lot to offer talking with each other. And I'll be honest, I can't see him pushing to publicly force the move again, because that didn't work last time, in the slightest. And he's rebuilt a little bit of trust with the fans, but he will not want to set all that trust on fire. That would be a bad idea for him. Sorry about that. I had to take a very quick phone call. Yeah, I can't see him forcing that move. And the last time I spoke about this was about 25 minutes ago. So I'm going to try and remember where I am and talk about the price estimates for a Willy Gnonto move. Now, we know that we can use the £30 million valuation we had last season as a little bit of an indicator, a little bit of an understanding as to where we value him now. And To be fair, we know that the money is there because the Almiron move to Saudi Arabia, that has nothing to do with connected parties, is going to be approximately £30 million according to reports. So we know they've got the space in terms of PSR as well. We know that they can sign him like within the regulations, so we can push towards prices around that number. And according to the article that I read, Leeds United won't accept lower than £25 million this time around. I cannot be 100% on the veracity of their reporting because I'll be honest, I'm not them. I don't know who said sources are, but it seems like an accurate-ish number. It might be along the lines of 20 or 15 with sell-ons and stuff like that and additional clauses, but it feels like the right kind of number for a player of his caliber, player of his age, and player of his potential. Basically, in my opinion, this would leave more than enough for a huge rebuild transfer kitty. We are missing players in several positions. Could do with a right back, could do with a left back, could do with maybe a centre back. We'd need to replace Willy Gnonto. We could look at a number 10, and there are arguments being made for having a number 9 and probably another central midfielder. Now, we've probably lost Mara too. And I'll be honest, from the position of Willy Gnonto, it's going to be hard for him to turn down a move no matter what, because it's very unlikely that he's going to turn down the potential to play for a European club within the next 2 years. Newcastle, I can see qualifying for Europe next year. The only reason that they didn't this time around was because I think it was Man United won the FA Cup, and that qualifies you for Europe. Basically, I can see Newcastle qualifying for Europe this season, and the season after would be where Willy gets his go at the biggest stages, and it's going to be hard for him to turn down, which means that at some point we might have to accept a fee. And really, what does it mean for the club? I think it's not as bad as it could be. Gnonto was ultimately a bit part player last season. He had 26 starts, scored 9, assisted 3, which are good numbers, don't get me wrong. But at the level we're playing at, I feel like there's a chance that Brendan Aronson likely replaces that output at this level. Because the Championship, as much as we build it up as one of the most entertaining leagues and it's hard to get out, it's not that hard to get a reasonable performance out of players like Brendan Aronson. And Willy Gnonto, whilst he was good, didn't set the world on fire last season. And we do have a hell of a lot to do in terms of the squad, and £25 million makes that a lot easier to do. At the end of the day, I hope we hold out for the highest possible price and sell before we can pick up a similar replacement. And I'm not meaning someone from the Swiss league that's really good at cutting in and having a go. I mean someone who is potentially undervalued in a league where a lot of people aren't looking and would make the signing a little bit easier for us. Basically, find someone else that we can use in the same way that we did Gnonto to make money in the long term. This could be a very, very smart bit of business if we use it well. And that's a big if, but I'm feeling okay about it. But whilst this is all what I have thought, I want to know what you think down in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're not yet. Every subscriber at the start of the season is a penny going to Prostate Cancer UK. You could even become a channel member, make that penny a whole pound, because channel memberships are just 99p, and that all goes to Prostate Cancer UK too. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think is going to happen with Willy, and I will see you later. Eats Moretti. Eats Moretti. Drinks Moretti. Eats spaghetti. This saga could be messy. Ta-ra.